Hello YouTube, today's video is about how to make money as a filmmaker for real.
We're gonna shoot something really big.
So before I dive into this video, I want to welcome all the newcomers. If you're new here, my name's LeMay, and this is the channel where we teach you how to monetize your filmmaking career and sell your original content. So my early career went something like this. I'd work 80 to 90 hours a week to barely get by. I'd commute as much as 110 miles a day. Living in Southern California, you can find yourself driving all over the place and driving long distances. That's a cost. So that added up at the end of the week to be about 150 bucks a week in gas, just getting around. So take that off the table right away. So now I find myself working on things that I never wanted to be known for in the first place. I'm spending all of my time going down a road that is going to yield very little. And then if I stopped working for any reason whatsoever, that 80 or 90 hours a week, the faucet of money got turned off. So at the end of the year, on a good year, I could make 6 figures. But I didn't have a life. I didn't have anything else I could do in order to make that living. And then that would go up and down. It was hot and cold because, as we know, we're as gig workers, we're always looking for that next gig. So I had to rebuild something. I had to change everything. So if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm gonna teach you 5 ways that I make money, all from my filmmaking, and that you're gonna be able to as well. This means putting a few zeros behind your income and that you're not relying on a single form of income. What I'm saying here is you have to have a diversity of income. It has to come from multiple places, but it all has to come from your expertise. Selling your time for money is a dead end now. We don't live in an economy where you go and you work for the same place for 45 years, there's job security, there's a pension, and then you put your feet up at the end of it and die happily in bed surrounded by your loved ones. That's not it anymore. There's no such thing as job security, especially in this industry. So we have to take it upon ourselves to diversify our income. If that gig work isn't going well, then we have a whole other array of income that's coming in, all based on our knowledge and ideas rather than just our time. So the first for me is freelance directing and producing. I do not have a problem doing that, but that's only about 30% of my income, and I only concentrate on getting 4 big jobs a year rather than 25 little ones where I end up spending probably time with the wrong client, or just saying, if you've got a check, I'll work for you. So for me, the criteria have to be right? For me, I have to be able to own a piece of it. It has to have distribution. I have to get credit for it, and I have to have some hiring and firing capabilities so that I can surround myself with the people that are going to get it done. So at the end of that, not only have I been paid for it to make it, but I also own a little piece of it at the end. I get maybe 5%, even as low as 5% on that executive producer fee that the owner of that project will get from a studio or a distributor or a brand or somebody else, right? If I have ownership of that, then I am asleep, I wake up, I go to the mailbox, and there's a check there that I made money in my sleep. That's what we need to do, is we need to find ways of creating what is called passive income. We can't just rely on selling our time for money. We have to start selling our knowledge and our ideas. So here's how it goes. That's the first way. The second way is I take 10% of everything I make from those freelance gigs, and I put it into a little fund. That can be in an IRA or it can be in a savings account. I just have a little savings account I put it in. And I go and I do stock footage shoots. And that means going somewhere that's hard to get to so that I can get as impressive of shots as I possibly can. I am now not taking out a credit card or anything like that. I've got stuff set away to invest in that. Now I make more money from that stock footage than I invest in it. So if I invest $1 and I get $2 back, I'm a pretty happy guy, right? So all of a sudden, and that same clip, let's not forget, can sell over and over and over and over again. So now you have an asset. And I'll list some places that you can go to. One being Black Box, which is a clearinghouse for stock footage. You submit your footage once and they send it out to a bunch of people, and I'll put a link in the description below. Their URL is www.blackbox.global. So that returns money to me. Now, is that gonna pay everything? No. But what it is going to pay is about 20% of my income. If I'm consistent about that. It's not gonna be I shoot 3 things, put it up, and I'm all of a sudden golden. I have to continually shoot those things. So I manage my time correctly. I'm either doing freelance gig work or stock footage. Now there's 2. The other is I get hired as a consultant on somebody's web series or film or TV pilot. So in essence, what I'm doing is I'm helping them take that idea from a raw, kind of loose idea into something solid and sellable, right? I help them package that idea. I help them find the talent. I help them use the right verbiage that distributors need. And that's all based on my experience of having sold many projects to distributors and studios. So I shortcut. They're not gonna have to have that learning curve that I had to have. And I sell that at a fairly decent rate. So that's another portion of my income. Now, the other one is Genesis investment, right? Genesis investment is pretty much just investing in startups. And what I mean by that is if you go to some of these places, I think it's like WeFunder.com is one of them. They will weight the probability of a startup to succeed. And so I look for ones that have kind of already have funding involved in them, have somebody involved with them that has some clout and that is gonna pull that project along and make sure that it happens. And I only invest a few $100 into that. Now, if I do that 5 to 10 times a year, 1 or 2 of those is gonna succeed. Now, I've only put, by the end of the year, a couple grand into these things, and they can return because it is, and I'm gonna say this, it is a speculative investment. But if a startup gets picked up, so for example, I invested in a coffee company that then sold their stuff through Whole Foods, so it just jumped up, right? And it jumped up in profit and then somebody bought them. So that ended up paying out ridiculous amounts. I wouldn't say ridiculous, but compared to what I invested, it moved the needle significantly. So that becomes passive income. I invest once and I walk away, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't, but I didn't risk a ton. And then the last one is my coaching and consulting for working filmmakers. I take mid-career filmmakers, people who have been working in the industry for anywhere from 10 to 20 years, and who have plateaued and are, working at agencies or working at production companies, not making the work they always saw for themselves. And I help them monetize their careers and sell their original content. And that actually brings me as much money as my freelancing, if not more. That is about 4 hours a day of my time. When I'm not working, and I get to help people. I get to help people not make the mistakes I did. And it ain't cheap. And the reason it's not cheap is because it was hard fought. I had to bleed a little bit to learn the lessons that I learned. So that's the 5 ways I make money. It's not coming from one place, right? And at the end of the day, we're all looking for control and predictability over our career. Right? We're looking to have 2 things. We're looking to have freedom of choice and movement. If I want to go out and buy a camera today, I can. If I want to go to Barcelona, I can. So I can do things today that I couldn't do when I was just struggling 90 hours a week, gig to gig, working on things that never meant anything to me, or working a day job at an insurance company where that was 8 hours of my day that I was never going to get back. I was never going to be able to dedicate that 8 hours into the thing that I loved the most, into the work that I wanted to be known for. So I'm not necessarily telling you to quit your job, but if it's not based on this, I would rather you hide from the landlord again and eat ramen and invest that time that you're spending doing things that are never going to look like what you want your career to look like, and put that time back into you, but in the end, build a career that looks like the one you've always seen for yourself and that pays you handsomely because you're not relying on a single form of income that is unpredictable, working for people who don't necessarily have your best interest in mind. So leave a comment, push the subscribe button, click the little bell icon so that you get notified of new videos, and I can't wait to see you in the next video, and I'm talking to you.